To get at why Microsoft and Sony chose AMD in the past and is continuing to do so, you need to start with the content needs. Both makers were looking for a way to increase the console footprint, increase the amount of apps and lower the cost of software development. Microsoft's Project Scorpio and the PS4 Pro are designed to do a lot more than games. They designed the consoles to be the future hub for all home entertainment and home automation and control. To effectively do this, they will need hundreds of complex apps that are relatively straightforward to code. Therefore, you need to start with an application processor architecture that supports this. And this is not power architecture. Hello my dear cat-loving friends, I wholeheartedly welcome you back to QatNip, and today let me tell you guys why the console companies are pursuing solely AMD for their console hearts and brains. So come on guys, once again let's learn together. The application processors that powered the older Xbox 360 and the PS3 were based on the power architecture. It delivered decent performance at its time but got much more difficult to program than the ARM, MIPS or x86 platforms. Additionally, the technological investment in ARM, MIPS and x86 architectures and ecosystems dwarfed PowerPC over the last decade, rendering power obsolete for the required performance per watt. In a world where your console needs to have as many apps as your smartphone, the only answer was ARM, MIPS or x86. Some sources have confirmed that both Sony and Microsoft felt that MIPS didn't have the right size developer ecosystem or the horsepower to power the new consoles. Then it came down to ARM versus x86 architecture. We got sources that there was technically a bake-off where prototype silicon was tested against each other across a myriad of application-based and synthetic benchmarks. At the end of the bake-off, ARM was deemed as not having the right kind of horsepower and its 64-bit architecture wasn't ready soon enough. 64-bit was important as it maximized memory addressability, and the next-gen console needed to run multiple apps, operating systems and hypervisors. ARM-based architectures will soon get as powerful as AMD's Jaguar cores, but not when Sony or Microsoft needed them for their new consoles. Then there is the matter of implementation. Both Sony and Microsoft wanted a custom x86-based SoC, or that is known as a system on chip. SoCs are silicon similar in design to those in smartphones, where every single piece of functionality is driven off a single piece of silicon, like the apps processor, graphics, video, image processing, audio, security, memory controller and I/O. The only thing different inside the consoles are stage and some power management. The desire for an SoC makes sense for so many reasons. First is low power, as generally SoCs consume less power than multiple pieces of silicon. Also, one piece of silicon generally takes less space and generates less heat than 2 or 3 chips. The requirement for an x86 based SoC ostensibly removed Nvidia from running, as Nvidia itself uses ARM platform for its Tegra series. As for custom builds, both Microsoft and Sony had different requirements for graphics, video processing, content security and even memory. Sony and Microsoft could have attempted to pull it off on their own, but they just didn't have the experience or the IP required to put 5 to 7 billion transistors on one piece of silicon. They also could have contracted a third party like Open Silicon, but frankly this is way too complex a project and stakes are too high to go with anyone who hasn't done leading edge design ever before. And who can forget Microsoft's red ring of death costing them billions and tarnishing the Xbox brand. The requirements for a custom SoC removed Intel from the running, as well as their graphics. Every one of these factors have contributed to AMD getting the nod. AMD won this business because they have the advanced IP, know-how, experience and commitment to make this happen. They have leading edge IP in CPU, GPU, memory, video, audio and I/O. They also designed the first quad-core x86 SoC, and it's not a giant leap to take this to 8 cores. Finally, AMD built an entire product division to support the effort that others weren't prepared to commit. It was a clear-cut win for AMD. Now, that is why Sony and Microsoft both chose AMD. So guys, we'll be concluding this episode for now, but we'll be back with more news on this as soon as available. Till then, please keep supporting us by just watching our videos and staying subscribed. Once again, a million thanks to our subscribers and continuous supporters. Until next time, adios amigos.